How many of you, can you raise your hand, have you heard of Horizon 2020? So Horizon 2020 is the first time they changed the name of the framework program, which is formerly FP8. So we started with, is it too small? Can you see this? No. Okay, anyway, the table, I'm going to send you the presentation anyway, but the table is just a list of framework programs that we had. They started in '84. And the thing about the program is that the first framework program that was funded in science, the budget was relatively small because it was 3.8 million euro, the equivalent. And it was only for 3 years. And then, of course, the next year when it almost doubled. And the important thing is not that it just doubled. Instead of being 3 years, it was 4 years. And then remained kind of 4 years for next frames until we got into FP7. And FP7 was basically 7 years. And it's not because it was FP7 they wanted to match 7 with 7 years. But the reason is, we moved from 3 to 4, from 4 to 7, and now there are some talks who move from 7 to 10. Do you understand the reason? Can you guess the reason?
It's more stable, but scientists already know what kind of applications this program has, so more applications.
Okay, in principle that's accurate, so yes, I would say this. There is another reason, which is very, very practical. If you work in public administration, as I guess you are aware, things move slowly. So what happens is, by the time you set up the program, by the time you officially launch the program, then you have to pass it to member states. The member states have to pass it to the administration. The administration has to pass it somewhere else. In the end, you have a kind of endless chain of things. And there is always the risk that some of the programs get delayed, especially the national ones, by the administration. And then when it happens, what would happen in a number of countries in Central and Eastern Europe for FP7, which was at the end of the FP7, there was this kind of gold rush. Gold rush because they had not been able to spend the budget. The budget was not evenly distributed all throughout the period. In the beginning, they have been very, very slow in kind of setting up the institution and the structures. So what happened is that they didn't allocate sufficient funds, and they had too much money. Too much money. Money is never enough, but they had kind of an amount of money which was excessive compared to the one they had before. And they were like, okay, what are we going to do? There was another case. I remember there was for youth policies that they allocate. I remember it was January 2013, if I'm not wrong, no, 12, and they allocated 31 million euro to youth projects to be spent in the next 18 months. Now, this was on the top of the initial budget. So it was not that they had, we already, once you have a structure, you start funding, you need a certain number of applications. You have kind of a certain number of regular customers, clients, they apply. So you know that every round you're going to have 3, 4, 5, 10 applications. And then you're going to select one. With 31 million, you basically, some of the budget just double at the national level. So instead of selecting 4, you have to select 8. And what happens if you receive only 7? Or what happens if you receive 5, but 3 of them are very, very bad? So, again, there is the problem. The problem of a budget is that we see the budget, we see how much it is, but it's also a matter that the budget is allocated in principle in a way which is growing over the years. But sometimes this gets kind of dysfunctional. Doesn't get the way you want it. The thing is, the more you're able to plan, the more this is likely to happen. So having a funding period which is 10 years allows you to set the structure. Okay, there will be delays and whatever. Delays in the first year, maybe the second year. But then you have 8 years of regular activities. And you don't have to rush at the last deadline, oh, we have to give all the money. Because another principle of budget, as you might know, is that if you don't spend the budget, you don't need it. So if I give you 7 million for this year, and you spend only 5, my reasoning as a public administration is, you don't need 7, you need 5, and I'll give you 5 next year. Now, who wants his budget to be reduced? No one. So the thing is, the more you can, the better you can plan, the better you can actually spend the budget. And you can spend it in a more rational way, because then what happens is, in practice, if you have lots of money unspent, I mean, I heard cases saying, as soon as I get an application that makes sense, I'll just fund it, because we just have too much money. And this is a situation that happens. So, if you want to avoid the situation, you need to plan. And this is the reason behind this, the need to go from 3 to 4 years, from 4 to 7, from 7 to 10. Now, as you see, the budget from research has gone very, very high. I mean, much higher than it used to be. We were at 77 billion a year. This is the budget not only for research. This is the whole budget, and this is the budget for also operational costs. So once you negotiate this in the next 7 years, you have to negotiate with the other also the Gs, and you have to allocate money. Now, this is a very high budget. This is a very big thing. Normally, I mean, when I was in the commission, they would say, oh, the agriculture will get more because it's easier to lobby than for scientists. But anyway, I think this is a very good share. The problem is that this, I don't know to what extent, because I don't know if there is any official information, it's been reduced when Juncker wanted to allocate some money into other funds. So it's not 77. And also, it includes a number of costs that you will not see. So, I mean, for instance, whenever you have an evaluation, if you need to evaluate, there is a budget for this. And every evaluation is very expensive, because they pay they have to pay the evaluators, they have to, well, if it's a remote evaluation, there is no transport. So if there is not a remote evaluation, then you have to bring the people there, you have to pay for the hotel, you have to pay for a number of things. And also, the budget is allocated between, I mean, there are kind of quotas between hard sciences and social science, and within the hard science you also have like life sciences, and then you have, so the amount of money you will get from this is much lower. The good news is that this is not the only available budget for research and training, because there is a second program, which is Erasmus+. The budget is 16 billion. So it's basically 1/5 of this. But this is almost, I mean, okay, the news for the social science was that you could access basically everything, but it's for everyone. It's for social sciences, for any kind of sciences. And the projects are sometimes smaller, so there are also more projects. So this is to say that in principle there is money, but as we will say later, the money is allocated in a way which is not always easy to understand, or it is not always easy to get. So the Horizon 2020 is now divided into 3 main pillars. So you have what is called excellent science, you have industrial leadership, and you have societal challenges. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about industrial leadership because basically I don't work with it. So I can give you just the information. But the thing is also that most of the schemes, they are kind of grounded in the same logic. So it's not very difficult to move from one to the other once you understand the mechanism. The thing is also that you have to do lots of homework because the guide for applicants are relatively long. But I'll just repeat what I say to a friend of mine who then got the money. He was like, okay, but the guy for applicant 60 pages, and then it's very long, I don't know, I want to study it. And I say, well, first of all, you don't have to read everything. Second thing is, think that you get the money. In his case, was very little, he was applying for 75,000. I said, well, think if you get the money, for every page you read, you get €1,000. So maybe that's an investment. And also, once you learn the rules in a certain thing, for a certain scheme, you can always better understand the other schemes. Keeping in mind that schemes change all the time. I mean, we have those 3 pillars, but within the same scheme, you always have updates, and you always have new information that comes. So you have to be very, very careful in the application form and also with the guide for applicants, because there might be a very, very small thing that changes from one deadline to the other, or within the same deadline, and then you just do not meet you do not respond to a certain question, and your application will be penalized. So this is the official web page of Horizon 2020. And as I said, it's divided into 3 main pillars. So you have excellent science, you have industrial leadership, and you have societal challenges that we're going to explore in those days. This is all coming from, in FP7, there is not much has changed from FP7, but formally. Formally, FP7, I cannot find the matrix anymore, but it used to be a very nice matrix showing that there were some priorities. So excellent science, the priorities were, in that case, were people, cooperation, capacities, and ideas. Now, those things were very, very, to me, they were very useful to understand, because ideas, they just say, we fund the idea. We don't care about anything else. It was the only field where you could just fund fundamental research. So we don't care about the output, we don't care about, but we care just about that the idea is good and it has potential. So if the idea has potential, we know it's going to lead somewhere. Then he had cooperation. The cooperation was building up a network, so of universities. Then you had people, and the idea was we need to form people. We don't care about, we don't care. We do not prioritize research outputs as much as we prioritize training. So it's, in the end, the end of the project is not, the goal of the project is not to get new research. If you get it, it's nice. But to train scientists to go to the next level, to become stronger in science, to become more kind of respected in the field they are. Capacities were thought to build capacities of universities and countries in a way that kind of, even throughout the European Union, we have different universities, we have different levels. And the idea would be like, well, let's try to help the universities that are kind of at the lower, or the countries or the region that are at the lower level, to get to the level of the other ones. And then we had Euratom, which was about energy. Now, the research component in the European Commission is very, very important. It's very, very big.